I've recently made the life decision to start using Minion GIFs as responses, like unironically. I've been trying it out on Austin lately. He's gotten a couple thank yous and an okie dokie, and I think it was all Minion based. And I think that's the point in my life that I'm gonna just really start something new.
Well, is it GIF or is it GIF?
According to the creator, RIP, GIF. According to the mass population of people that have used them, GIF.
It's
Moms
wrong.
like you choose GIF.
Choose GIF.
Mama loved me. She loved me a bunch because she always put Skippy in my lunch.
Peanut butter.
Peter Pan. What's the Peter Pan one? How did that one go?
Put a little Peter in your pan.
Get it nice and warm and swirl it around, Peter Pan.
Nut butter. Hey, everybody. I'm Dane Holland, and I've tasted that tomato.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer, and let's go on a trip.
I'm Marcus, the fictional character known as I'm Electric Man.
I'm Austin Tiny Zent, and is it socially acceptable to wear my underpants outside of my overpants?
It is here on Nerd It Through the Grapevine, the podcast where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture. You're first, Marcus. Remember?
Yep. I thought you had something else there.
No.
So, okay, recently we talked about Reptar. I don't know why this monster crept into my brain. Well, obviously, other than last week, that's what made me bring it up. But it made me think, like, holy crap, Reptar is like a fictional character to the Rugrats, who are also fictional characters. And I don't know why, but this is how my brain works. I was fascinated by this idea. I'm like, there's like, I don't know. It's just fun to have this extra layer of fiction kind of blanketing this character. And it was just like, okay, well, surely this is, Reptar's not the first, but it was the first one I thought of in this context.
Well, I have a question about this, because if you multiply -2 and -2, you get +4. So if you get a fictional character in a fictional show, does that make them a real person?
I don't know what school of philosophy.
Tiny.
You're saying the two fictions make a
reality?
Make a reality, yes.
Well, if...
I'm just posing questions.
I mean, if multiple realities exist, is there such thing as nonfiction?
All I'm saying is somebody has to ask the hard questions.
So the only ones I could come up with off the top of my head were Reptar right off the bat, and then the Crimson Chin, because it was kind of in that Nickelodeon vein. And Crimson Chin is Timmy Turner's like superhero icon. And actually, I just now remembered that there's one on Jimmy Neutron. That's the funny friend of his that's like has the toy.
Yeah.
Ultron or Ultra Lord.
Yeah.
Ultra Lord. Cool. Yes. So Ultra Lord kind of reminds me of Buzz Lightyear, who is also another fictional character. And of course, I get into my Lost, and there's this fictional band called Geronimo Jackson. And there's also this Billy D. Williams, like, actually appears in Lost at one point on the TV of like this fictional, like, soap opera kind of like show that exists.
Yeah.
On Lost only.
On Dexter's Laboratory.
See, I want to hear if y'all can think of any off the top of your head or what you've been thinking
Well,
about.
I hadn't actually thought about this one until you started mentioning those things, because I can remember in the same kind of blocks on TV, I would be watching that and Cartoon Network and stuff around the same times. But it would be off of Dexter's Laboratory. Super Monkey! You're not a super monkey. You're just a normal monkey.
I don't remember.
And there were like super monkey comic books and all this other stuff based on this superhero that was super monkey, and it was Dexter's monkey that had got irradiated by something in his laboratory that spawned the entire mythos.
Oh, that's so cool.
And the whole idea of this is interesting because, like, I don't know, creators of the fiction have decided it's not enough fiction. Like, to make these characters realistic in this fiction, they need their own fiction to be following. Like,
and it just makes them more relatable, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. But that's how like culturally relevant fiction is, and mainly like superheroes, comic books, and TV. In general, like those are very relatable things. Like you said, like in the way to make a fictional character seem more real is to throw all this stuff at them because of how much it's involved with every step of our lives, which is really cool.
Yes,
to think about too.
It is very cool. It's cool to think that our favorite TV characters also watch TV.
Yes,
they have favorite TV characters.
To make the fake things more real, you give them fake things that we have in the real world.
I'm so glad.
That's weird.
Because you can go to the store and buy a stuffed Reptar somewhere. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
Especially like on Amazon or something.
So, of course, did you have something to say, Tony?
I was just going to give my example.
Yes, please. Please do.
I mean, I don't have to.
No, absolutely.
Okay.
I forgot.
So, do y'all remember the show Ren and Stimpy?
Yes.
Powder Toast Man.
Dane.
What?
You took my
asked
thunder,
me if
but
I
yeah,
remembered.
you wasn't supposed to give more information. You just say yes or no. Let's try this again.
Okay.
So, do y'all remember the show Ren and Stimpy?
No.
Yes.
Powdered Toast Man.
There was a fictional character in the show, Marcus, called Powdered Toast Man. He was
they're
like
all
a
fictional
superhero.
characters.
Yeah,
Tony.
he was a real character because, like I said, two negatives make a positive. He was a superhero, and his head was made of 2 pieces of powdered toast. He was oblivious to everything, and he was a spokesperson for a cereal called Powdered Toast that tastes just like sawdust. That was like their catchphrase for it.
That was the reason that I yelled his name that way. That was his signature, like he's coming into the scene, what he would yell. He also flew butt cheeks first.
Yes. Yes.
And it didn't matter if his body was cannonballing or if his body was straight lining it with his toes pointed. It was always ass leading.
Yeah, and he had a jiggly dump truck.
Ren and Stimpy was such a weird show.
Dude, if you watch it as an adult, it's awful. I'm like, how did my parents let me watch this?
Mine didn't, but I did it anyway.
I mean, my mom just must have not paid attention. My other example is from South Park. Terrence and Phillip.
I almost stole it from you.
Now, I mean, I'm here to tell you, I have seen seconds, possibly minutes of South Park. Yeah, so there's Terrence and Phillip. They're on South Park, and one of them has a blue shirt. The other one has a red shirt.
They're
One's
Canadian.
got a T, one's got a P. They're Canadian.
Okay, so I was, I got this fictional character. Like, what do I even Google? Like, how do I even look this up? Fictional characters in fictional stories. Like, what? You just start getting stuff. Anyway, so I was trope hunting is what I was doing.
Yes.
Because it's a trope, having our characters watch other characters on TV and stuff. And so, of course, I go to my TV tropes, and it's called Show Within a Show. It's a fictional show that takes place within an actual show, or occasionally a fictional installment or incarnation of an actual show. So, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. But it says here they're usually of low quality, and I couldn't help but think about that when you were talking about the Toast Man.
Powdered Toast
Powdered
Man.
Toast Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
I guess it's like their own message about their own field of creating fiction. Like, it's ridiculous. So in a ridiculous world, you have to make it scale, right? I mean, so you have to make it even more ridiculous than what they're already presenting you. And when you're given Ren and Stimpy, you got to go ridiculous.
yeah, it's we're already writing TV for idiots.
Yes.
So as I'm scrolling through TV tropes to kind of just get a better idea of like the trope, I've stumbled upon this thing called Nestflix.
Go on.
And it's a parody site dedicated to these quote unquote nested films and, fictional realities that exist within fictional realities. And of course,
great.
I click on it, and it's just like this huge list of all of these like shows that can be, that from different shows. I know that sounds ridiculous.
Right.
So since you said show within a show, I had to Google it myself because that really does narrow down the search a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering which ones would ring true to me. But this was hurtful because I loved the movie Moulin Rouge, and I never realized that it within itself, its entirety of its existence, is the show within a show trope. And here's the explanation to it. It says Moulin Rouge is a musical movie depicting a man, a stage performance. Oh, excuse me, I'm jumbled. Moulin Rouge is a musical movie depicting a stage performance of a movie about a man singing about a man writing the story of his involvement in a musical about a man whose involvement in the musical mirrors the writers.
Yes. Yes. How is that hard to read?
The last word
Sounds impossible.
that this person did after you giving the explanation? Yeah. Honestly. That's crazy because I've seen that movie so many times.
Yeah.
And I just never gave it that much thought like that. And that hurts my brain to even say that much.
What is the name? Angels with Filthy Souls.
Home Alone.
It's another one. Crime in the city is at an all-time high. Rookie gangster Snakes pays a visit to notorious mob boss Johnny, whose patience is running out. It's so funny because it says as seen in Home Alone and Pokemon Detective Pikachu 2019.
Yeah.
Yes.
What in the world is that?
It was awesome.
That is such an iconic fiction within a fiction that it shows up in another fiction as a cultural reference to Home Alone.
That is crazy.
Oh, this is prime meta.
I was also thinking that, like, is there any example that I could think of where, like, one of these fictional characters' stories actually matters to the plot of, like, the story that it's framed within? Mm-hmm. And the only thing I could come up with was Misery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was extremely cool because the plot all rides on this fictional character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did I just blow your mind, Tiny?
Here's the thing, okay? Misery is one of my favorite works of literature. And okay, I will admit you did blow my mind a little bit because I never even considered that as a thing.
These fictional characters are powerful, and I don't know. I'd like to see that trope explored a little bit more.
There was a couple that I'd come up with that mattered, like because I've got 4 listed here, but 2 of them actually mattered, and they both came from me just looking at my bookshelf because I just wanted to look at my bookshelf and move my eyes across them and go, okay, what stands out as the fiction within fiction, which means it would matter, right? I mean, if things stand out like that, it probably matters in some way.
Yeah.
Like even in Home Alone, it mattered because it got them to run away from his house.
It inspired him
to do that.
Some prank calls too that he made, right?
Yeah. So The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay is a novel by Michael Chabon, and it's loosely kind of based on the idea of how Superman was created, but it's through different life experiences of a lot of different comic book creators of that time, mainly Jewish ones, like in what they had to deal with during that time, around 1939 of this. And The Escapist was the name of the comic book they were making in this book. The 2 characters who were like Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, like the 2 characters are kind of based on them, and The Escapist is kind of based on Superman and the creation of him, because one of them likes to do art and the other one likes to create stories. And the whole book is kind of based on their journey of creating this character and what all they go through to get it, produced and all this stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So the whole book is based on a comic book being created by 2 fictional characters, like a fictional comic book created by 2 fictional characters. And what's really cool also is Chabon came out with a single issue comic of The Escapist in real life. So like we can get an issue of The Escapist that they created in
so cool.
In the prose. Like it's really cool.
That is very cool.
Yes. Another one is The Sandman, which is a huge Neil Gaiman work of art. The Weird Zoes is a comic within that world. And it originally was going to be the Bizarro world, like from DC Comics, because Vertigo and DC, like they did Sandman, like they published it. Are you familiar with Bizarro world? Have you ever seen Bizarro Superman?
I don't think so.
Like he's got a backwards S that he's like etched into like stone on a chain on his chest, and everything the Bizarro world does is opposite. So if they say they love you, like they hate you, things like that. So everything is reversed.
Yeah.
And Neil Gaiman, when he was writing the story, he wanted Bizarros to be in the Sandman. But he was like, why wouldn't it be? DC's publishing my work. Why can't I do that? So the original script was written with Bizarro in it. And DC was like, no, we're not going to let you do that. But anyway, like it's a fictional world in a comic book within his comic book world.
My brain hurts.
Yeah. The characters that are in the Weird Zoes world actually have a big deal with that storyline, because this little boy who's like going through a lot of torment, when he's asleep, he's dreaming, and these characters from this Weird Zoes world are like there with him. Like it's almost like his escape from the horrors of reality. It's weird.
Kind of reminds me of Stephen King's Wind Through the Keyhole. The whole book is a story in a story.
Yeah.
The whole thing is it revisits Roland, the main character's childhood. Well, he meets this boy who's scared, and he's just trying to take care of him and calm him down. He's like, well, I heard this story when I was a child, and he begins to tell this child the story. After reading everything, you realize that even though Roland thinks it's fiction, it's actually the history of his world, in a sense.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
There's only a couple more. I know we probably need to move on. Just honorable mentions. Toy Story is actually kind of like Buzz Lightyear's whole arc is to kind of transcend, or not transcend, but to become an individual because he thinks he's this fictional character, right? So I thought that was a cool example of it.
And now he's getting his own movie of that story.
Oh, cool.
Like, so the Lightyear movie is that called Lightyear?
Yeah, just called Lightyear.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is the story that Andy sees and what makes him fall in love with Buzz Lightyear. We're getting that movie, but actually fleshed out and made.
So it's a fictional story.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, and it's a framing device. That's right. Kind of a literary device.
In Lightyear, though, if they have any kind of references to any other kind of fictional characters within that movie, you're going to have a trifold of it.
Jeez.
That'll be real deep.
Which I know exists. Like we just can't think of any examples of it, but it goes deep with this. And it's something like those of you listening to this, like you can probably sit there and think, maybe as we've been talking, it's like, all these examples are popping in your head, and that's just neat. Like as a creator too, like as someone who likes to write or create something, like there may be small ideas that you're like, there's nothing more to this, but I really like this idea. Okay, well, shove it into a fiction that you do have fleshed out, and you think it would fit well in that, to where you're kind of introducing all these ideas that you've had, but you don't have to give all the information.
Right.
Like it can become its own movie now, like it's really cool.
That is weird. Weird idea.
You know what else is a weird idea?
No.
A game show on a podcast. Welcome, gentlemen, to Taste That Tomato, the brand new game show on Nerd of the Grapevine, where we take nerd movies from our past, maybe even present, where we stack them up against each other using their Rotten Tomato scores and finding out which one is worse.
I only really like fresh tomatoes, and preferably on my cheeseburger.
You're getting none of those today.
Or fried green tomatoes.
Not even close.
Grounded in liquid tomato known
Not
as
even
ketchup.
close. See, and it's not really a game show, because I'm actually just going to be joining you guys with this, because I didn't look up any of the scores of any of these movies. I just know they're all terrible, and and I know that's going to be really bad. I wanted to be excited with you. Austin, would you mind being my Rotten Tomato meter man?
Already on it!
It's saved on his homepage. He goes there a lot.
I just want to see how bad the fans like it. I don't care about the tomato meter most of the time.
Well, yeah, I do need to preface this with Rotten Tomatoes is a bullshit way of deciding if a movie is good, because movie critics can be real dumbos sometimes.
Yes.
But if you look at the fan response of it, this is also people willing to go onto this website and talk about it. So it's either they loved it so much they needed to go in there and say something about it, or they hated it so much they needed to. So you're not really getting the in-between, I don't feel.
There's not a whole lot of middle-of-the-roaders on that, because they just don't want to take the time.
No.
Which score are we looking at? The critic score?
Critics.
Or okay,
I'm looking at
so not
critics,
fan
because
score.
I'm
Okay.
talking bad. Like, because even fans will still like a bad movie, because, we're fans of, I don't know, the IP or something. But I've got a few matchups here. Again, I have no idea what the scores of these are. I just want to see if we're all close. Even maybe down to a percentage, which will be a lot of fun. Don't type either of them in until I mention them both, and then
I have to
we
open up
talk
separate
about it.
tabs.
Do what?
I'm going to be excluded. I'm the judge.
No, you got to be a part of this. You're
No,
a perfect person.
You look
for
it
this.
up after.
Fine, I'll look it up after.
Because I can edit out the pause in between. The looks.
Pause. Reference to mine.
Funny. The first two movies are Super Mario, the movie, the old one, and Warriors of Virtue, which we have covered on this show and which we have watched through our Discord link.
Well, we will watch through
together.
Discord.
Oh, we're going to. That's
we're
right.
going
It's
to. We
future.
have not yet.
Yes, exactly. So, if anything, this will give you a good idea of how good this movie is for the future. I'm going to say Warriors of Virtue has probably got a worse critic score
Then Mario.
I mean, Mario was bad.
Yeah, but
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
I'm thinking, well, okay, I've seen Warriors of Virtue.
Uh-huh.
I've only listened to the audio from Super Mario because I had a cassette tape that had all the audio on it.
What?
Yes.
What?
I
Of the
played
movie?
it. Yes, I played it in my Goosebumps cassette player when I was a child. I didn't know for a long time it was a movie. Yeah.
Tell me you grew up poor without telling me you grew up poor.
I mean,
I remember watching the video cassette of the audio of that movie when I was a kid.
can we get a button that denotes sad tiny childhood? That's a spoiler part. We need our own
your
sound.
childhood sucked.
I know. Well, I'm gonna just based on my knowledge of both of these, I'm gonna say Super Mario was the worst.
God.
Man.
I think I might actually still have the tape at my house.
I don't.
If I can find it, I'll bring it.
Please. Oh, please. Oh, that's so good.
Goodness.
I'm going to guess these are probably in the 30% range
Yeah.
for that. I don't know. That's going to be a hard one to guess.
Are we trying to predict critic? We're trying to predict critic scores.
Yes.
In my head, I'm seeing Warriors of Virtue as 27
Oh, Jesus.
and Super Mario as 19.
And you haven't cheated, right?
I've not cheated.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Here we
I
go.
hope I'm right.
I'm just
because
gonna
that
throw
was
in with
purely
Tiny
out
on
of my
this
butt.
one, and I'll make a better prediction for the next matchup.
Okay. And I think we'll do percentages from this point on just of the one that is the worst between the two. And Austin, you can be excluded if you want to.
Did I get one of them right?
No.
Damn. I was really hoping.
All right, so
Critic score for
Super Mario Brothers,
yes.
28%. Critics score for Warriors of Virtue, 18%.
You got it backwards.
I was off by one on both and backwards. What? What is my life? Is this some kind of dumb superpower?
It's because you only listen to the audio. If you'd have seen the movie, then you would have known.
You would have seen the giant suits with the little tiny heads. Like, why?
Goombas, yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? There's this title that everybody likes to play on this video game console. What we're going to do is we'll take its name, give the two main characters those names, and that's all you get. All of it.
So the first worst is Warriors of Virtue.
First worst.
And so out of this list, in the end, we can see which one is the worst out of all these movies, too, if we want to. My next matchup that I've chosen is Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, which is Ghost Rider 2. I'm not sure if either of you have seen this, but
No.
We saw
Austin,
it premiere night.
It was trash. Hot, stinking fecal garbage.
The first one was bad.
Yeah, but not as bad as the second one. And Sharknado is the other one.
I'm going to say Spirit of Vengeance
Me
is lower
too.
than Sharknado.
Me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is my
Absolutely.
vote.
Because it doesn't get the same benefit of the doubt that Sharknado is going to automatically get.
Sharknado was charming because it was bad, but I felt like they knew it was bad,
Yeah.
so they just went
Right,
with
well, it was
it.
made by that company that I did that topic on that one day.
Yeah.
Truth.
It's
yeah.
intentionally
The-
shitty.
yeah.
It's a mockbuster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think movie critics are going to at least be able to see that. And they'll be like, this is
Sure.
what they were going for. They succeeded. It's not
Right.
going to have a good score by any means.
No.
We were absolutely right.
We were.
I'm not even gotten to the second one yet. What was the second one? I already forgot.
Sharknado.
No.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Ghost Rider 2,
Ghost-
Spirit of blah, blah,
Spirit
blah,
of
blah.
Vengeance.
No, we were right, but I didn't know it was by this much. Sharknado has a 74% rating
Wow.
on the
Wow.
tomato meter, and Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance has 18.
Incredible. Wow. So it ties Virtue, or Warriors of Virtue?
Yes.
That's amazing. I'm
That's-
glad I didn't put those two against each other, although that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sharknado. I mean, Sharknado did kind of like set the trend for that. It kind of laid the groundwork for a popular movie that was made intentionally bad,
Badly.
right? Yeah,
I guess
the
so.
mockbuster.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of the first mockbuster known by a lot of people, right?
It was definitely like the biggest one.
Yeah,
I think.
possibly one of the
I think
biggest
so.
ones.
Because like it has so many big name people in the later iterations of it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if it was bigger than Scary Movie.
I don't know. Scary. Well,
Scary
this
Movie is a whole
this
different
is a
animal.
segment that I want to revisit in the future. So remember Scary Movies.
Okay.
for
Scary
sometime in
Movie
the
is more of
future.
a parody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay, I got
Totally
you.
different genre.
John Carter of Mars, which is a catastrophic failure from Disney, versus Fantastic Four. Let's say the newest one, the newest Fantastic Four.
Why would you
That's
do
the
that?
worst one I could think of.
The newest Fantastic Four is definitely lower than John Carter.
Is it though?
Yes.
Is it though?
Yes.
Look it up. You're the rotten man.
Well, no one
Be
else
the
just
rotten
gave
man.
me the answer. What they
I
think?
would have said Fantastic Four would have beat it out if we were
Yeah,
talking about
absolutely.
the first one, just because, what was her name, Jessica Biel? I didn't say she was hot. I just gave a reasonable answer as to why
movie
Fantastic
critics
Four would have been better.
Why movie critics would have given it a better
Look,
score?
Look, movie critics are also attracted to people because they're people.
Not their words. Are they people? Are movie critics people?
I mean, I've never met one,
They're
but,
more machine than people.
but I would assume
They're
so.
like, does it fit the algorithm?
Right.
No.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I was going to say. I would feel like the Disney movie would automatically just get a better critic score
I'm
than
thinking
because I think that Fantastic Four movie was still a Fox X-Men.
it
or,
was
or Fox.
Fantastic
yeah,
Four.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say John Carter's worse. I'm gonna be the only one that says John
Well,
Carter
I've
got a
never
worse score.
seen John Carter.
Gotcha.
No.
Well, no, I mean, I'm agreeing with you.
No,
just
no.
by
Oh, you
default.
are. Yeah,
No.
Tiny agrees with me, but probably not right.
Oh, tremendous amount different here. Yeah.
Are you
absolute-
sure?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
What's the scores?
John Carter, 52%
Oh wow.
tomato meter. Fantastic Four, 9.
Wow.
Yes.
Is that the new one?
Yes.
But then
Wow,
again, it is a
9%.
superhero movie, and movie critics hate superhero movies.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's a good point. Although John Carter was an influence on the creation of Superman, like with the superhuman strength,
Yes.
the kind of thing.
Yes,
So
I don't
he
know
was-
much about John Carter.
Yeah, because
he
he
predates
goes-
Superman.
And he goes to Mars, and since he's used to Earth, and Mars has got different gravity, he can jump and do stuff. It's a precursor from the 1800s called John Carter of Mars.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a reverse. Like Superman was a reverse John Carter as
Yeah.
far as like where he's from and the effects of that they use sunlight instead of gravity.
I feel like at some point we need to look up what Rubik's Cube that they are using to judge these movies, because do we know? Is it just their opinion? Like, I didn't like that. We'll just give it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a this or that.
It's what's called a professional opinion. Which, what is that even?
What? You
Exactly.
Just get paid to watch a shit ton of movies?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Give me that job. I'll be a
Next.
critic.
Here's a good one: The Last Airbender versus Dragon Ball.
Oh.
Why?
I'm telling you, I thought of the worst ones I could think of. I know it's terrible.
I'm going to get a nosebleed.
Yeah. I
No.
think Dragon Ball, I think neither of these got above a 15. I'm going to guess that, but I'm going to say Dragon Ball is the worst rated movie of the two.
Airbender's going to be in the 20s, but I know that Dragon Ball's got to be in the teens. So that's what
I think
going
Dragon
with.
Ball's going to be single digits.
I don't think it got that bad of a review because people don't know enough about it. The critics don't know enough about Dragon Ball Z.
But they
to get
still has a
his
score though.
Yeah,
yeah,
it will.
I didn't even
So
know.
the critics that chose to review it, I mean,
Uh-huh.
it maths out, right?
Well, I mean, I didn't even know Dragon Balls existed as a movie.
It does.
I'm going to say Avatar, just The Last Airbender, just because of how awful that movie was. And I didn't know it was awful until I actually watched the anime.
All right.
I don't know. I'll say that Dragon Ball's worse. I'm going to say that Dragon Ball's got a worse one.
I would have never thought that The Last Airbender was this low. Dragon Ball Evolution, 15%.
Okay.
3. Come on, I'm thinking it's 3.
The Last Airbender, 5%.
Wow.
I was close. I was off by
Hey,
So far, that's the
really?
lowest.
That's
Jeez.
it can't get lower than that. Like
It can.
I think that. Oh God. Okay, next. That's bad. I never would have thought, because The Last Airbender was
either.
absolutely awful. But the thing that pissed me off about the whole thing, that just distracted me from the rest of the awfulness, was his name is Aang.
Yes, they call him Ong.
There's a children's television show that you can just not even watch, like Tiny did with some of his television as a child. You can just listen for a second, and you know that you got the main character wrong.
I didn't have the option to watch, okay? I only had the option to listen.
You weren't in the same room as the television, just listening to it. Oh, that's so
I was
good. You were
in a
actually
car.
in a car listening to it. Oh, I love
On
it.
a Goosebumps cassette player.
I love it. The next matchup: Battlefield Earth versus the Dark Tower.
Oh,
This
Tiny,
hurts me
our expert.
both emotionally,
Our expert.
spiritually, and physically. Okay,
I think Battlefield Earth is going to get worse.
It has to be worse. Okay, Dark Tower's just f***ing awful. So is Battlefield Earth, but the Battlefield Earth novel is awful. But it's kind of charming because it's awful. But it's on the movie's only like maybe a third of it. It has to be the worst.
The Dark Tower.
Hold on, Marcus. What do you think?
Oh shit.
yeah.
You're the rotten
who
man.
made the Dark Tower? Do we know that right off the top of our
Stephen
heads?
King.
No.
He wrote that Dark
No.
Tower
I
movie.
know, but
He
not the
wrote
movie.
the books.
Okay, it doesn't
Don't
matter.
you put that evil on him, Ricky Bobby.
Matthew McConaughey was in Dark Tower, so I'm defaulting with the other movie. It's worse.
Battlefield Earth
Is worse, yeah.
With John Travolta.
John Travolta.
Yeah, but he did really bad. So
He did so bad.
The Dark Tower. 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Good.
Battlefield Earth. Who wants to wager?
I'm going
7.
3.
21.
The man has guessed it.
3?
3.
Yes.
3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It can get worse.
It got
Then
worse.
got worse.
I knew it could.
Oh, it got worse.
Oh. The last is a suggestion by the Wolf, and it is Daredevil versus Catwoman. Both awful superhero movies, famously awful. I'm gonna go Catwoman.
Yeah,
being
Catwoman
worse.
got trashed.
Yeah,
man.
Daredevil's better
bad.
because of Elektra. I didn't say that. That's not what I'm saying. I was thinking it, but I didn't say it.
All right.
Okay.
The critics have spoken. And Daredevil comes in at a whopping 43%.
Wow.
Wow.
Did not think that would happen.
on the Rotten Tomato meter. Now, what everybody gets confused about is Daredevil wasn't the bad movie of the bunch. The
Elektra.
sequel to it, Elektra, was the bad movie.
I've never seen
Daredevil had some shining moments to it and some fun, at least, going on. And Elektra, on the other hand, might beat Catwoman still, because Catwoman has a 9%.
Ooh,
Wow.
So what? Okay, so what's Elektra then?
Elektra is...
I'm so glad we got a bunch of single-digit movies in there.
I want to see if there's a
So
1%.
That is good.
So good.
Can you look up movies by percent on that? Because I want to see what a 1% movie is.
We have to
Or a
watch it.
0%.
We have to
and
watch
we would
it.
watch it.
Elektra with Jennifer Garner has a little bit lower score than Daredevil, sitting at 11%.
Good.
It's almost there.
But it still beats Catwoman.
It does.
Yep.
That's been Taste That Tomato. Thank you for tuning in to these hot, stinking, fecal pieces of garbage that we call movies. Today's loser, Battlefield Earth. Next time, will it still succeed in failing? Find out.
I'm just really glad that was the lowest movie on there. And, oh man, it was so bad. but a movie that was so good and very near and dear to my heart because I love this movie. V for Vendetta.
Yes.
I'm sure we've all seen it. Spoiler fart, please.
It's so old though.
I don't care. Thank you. Wow, that was one of the movies that was based on a graphic novel that I actually read the graphic novel because, I mean, most people don't realize I'm not really into those. I can read a comic book because it's thin. Like I'll read a book thick as a but it cannot be a graphic novel because I just can't. But anyway, I read that one and it was so good. And I'm glad that I read it after I watched the movie because the movie's fantastic, but the book is so much better as they are often, they're often better, period. Some things about the movie will just irritate the piss out of you if you read it first because one of the main things is Evie is not that big of a character in the novelization as she is in the show. She's also a young teenage girl child. She's not a grown adult woman, which actually makes the scene with the priest make more sense when he says she's too old, and they made her look real young and girly because he liked really young kids.
Got it.
Which he gets killed. So justice.
Hey, glad you got the spoiler part in there.
Yes. And the detective in the graphic novel is not just this little goody two shoes like you think. Like he does drugs to deal with his life because he hates his life and his job. When he goes to the asylum where V is reborn like a phoenix, essentially, as this anti-hero that he is, he's tripping on LSD because he's wanting to try to, somehow he justifies that to he's getting in the mindset of where this person possibly come from because during his investigation, he narrows it down that he's not sure who V is, but he thinks V come from this place. And somehow tripping on acid, helps him unlock the answers to what he's investigating, which doesn't make sense to me, but yes, Marcus, you raised your hand.
You asked if you said V. Is that the guy with the Guy Fawkes mask?
Yes, that's V.
Okay.
The girl is Evie.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said he was reborn like a phoenix.
Yes.
More, please.
Okay. Well, he was in the asylum. He was essentially a prisoner, and they were doing a bunch of experiments, and he was just basically a broken shell of a person with no real purpose. And then through the course of it, he ends up lighting fire to the asylum in order to get out. And he's burnt. He's crispy. He's a crispy boy. And he just basically wants to change England and make it not this communist state that it's become.
And this is future.
Yeah.
Okay, and then that's why he wears the Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah, because he's burnt. He's like, Freddy Krueger style.
Well, and Guy
burnt.
Fawkes being like this symbol of rebellion.
Yeah.
From back in the 1500s.
The gunpowder treason. Yeah.
Correct, because I actually just watched the Gunpowder on HBO where Kit Harington, who played Jon Snow, plays Robert Catesby. He was one of the organizers of the gunpowder plot, and Guy Fawkes is actually a character in that show. But I don't know. I just had to get my lore straight.
Yeah,
from what you were saying.
Guy Fawkes was the leader of the gunpowder treason, which I didn't know they made a movie on that. I'm gonna have to watch it.
It's actually a miniseries. Cool. It's like 3 episodes.
Okay,
it's pretty good. Liv Tyler's in it too. It's pretty cool.
Nice. And this whole message is basically like the flaws of the establishment and how do you get back at them for that?
Yeah, essentially.
Because even the priest, like that's an established figure, that's a leader, and they're doing these horrid things.
Yeah.
And even the police officers like being crooked, like also in it.
The fingerman.
Yes. And just all the leaders of England, he's just wanting to show the corruption and be like, no,
because like
anarchy's the answer.
Yeah. In this movie, it's basically like a Nazi state. The imagery's a little different, but you look at the cut of the uniforms and
authoritarianism,
the messages being portrayed, it's essentially Nazis,
which they derive their like inspiration from that, of
right,
course.
Right.
The actor that played the main prime minister was the actor that played the War Doctor on Doctor Who.
The actor that played V was Elrond.
Yeah.
Yes.
From the Lord of the Rings?
Oh,
And
I thought you meant
Agent
Hubbard.
Smith.
Yes, Agent Smith.
Yep. And he did fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And one thing that I liked better in the novels was you actually got to see more about who he was killing and why, because the movie just kind of like just gives you a little bit and doesn't really go into it. And basically, he's taking down everybody that was at this place doing these experiments on people, which is kind of allegorical for Jewish people. Like the first one, Louis Prothero, he was one of the main prison guards. What they don't tell you in the movie is that he actually collected dolls. Like he had like hundreds, thousands of porcelain dolls set up in this room. And so when V kills him, V uses poison most of the time. And it's not just like, oh, you're poisoned, you're gonna throw up and die. It's way more than that. It's like, it's almost like acid, because they like start hallucinating, and basically they're scared to death because Prothero is poisoned in the room where he houses his collection, and the dolls come to life and start attacking him. And basically he gets so scared that his heart explodes and he dies right there.
So he uses the things that he loves to kill him. Like, I mean,
Essentially,
you know,
yeah.
in his own mind.
That's
Like,
awesome.
That's what's
Yeah.
happened. That's really cool.
And one thing that kind of stayed the same that I enjoyed was when he got to the lady, I can't remember her name, and he kills her. You know, she regretted what she did. She was sorry. You know, she cried and apologized to him. And he said, you know what? He's like, that's okay. He's like, I accept your apology. And she told him that she's ready to die for what she did. And he actually gave her something that didn't do that to her. It was just, she kind of just went to sleep and didn't wake up. So he was merciful, but he was also vengeful.
Was he also really good at karate and knife throwing in the book as opposed to the movie?
Yeah, I mean, they didn't really go a lot into it. Like the subway scene, which is the best scene of the movie, is a scene that's in there. His soliloquy with all the V's, which at one point I had memorized, but now I don't anymore because it's really difficult.
I get it. I memorized the fireworks scene
too. Yeah. So a lot of the heavy hitting scenes are in the novel and in the movie, but like I said, the biggest main difference is almost the romance between V and Evie, because V is very stoic in the book. He's very standoffish. He's not interested in her. Like, she's basically his Padawan, his replacement, because he doesn't think he's going to make it out. So it's up to her to carry on his mission. But there's not that weird lovey, connection. There's not the, throwing her in the little prison thing that he made to make her strong like him. It's, yeah. So
yeah, he's a man with a mission that,
yes,
like something like a woman's not going to take him off that course. But again, it was a death wish. Like he was ready to die. Like he knows on any of these things that he goes to do, he could die. But if she could take up that mantle after him, like it's all about like someone needs to take his place. If they can.
She was supposed to be like the leader, but it was supposed to spread it, because just like at the end of the movie, everybody shows up in the middle of town with the Guy Fawkes masks. That happens in the book too, because he basically acts as the voice of the people. He wasn't really intending it to be that way in the beginning, but ended up that way in the end. And I'll just be honest here, fellas. At the end of the movie, when he's on the train and the roses and she's sending him off, I cried. I mean, that was sad, because he was like super awesome as a character.
Yeah.
I loved the classical music and him describing like and the winds. And here's the crescendo.
Oh yeah, when he blew up the Bailey in the beginning.
Boom. Like even though the movie isn't quite as good or impactful as the book is, it's still like known for being a good movie too. Like, and that just shows you how good the graphic novel is. Because
absolutely.
If the movie's that good, then the source material is even better.
Absolutely.
And the critics agree with 73% on Rotten Tomatoes.
which is actually pretty good for a critic score. What's the fan score for that?
90.
Wow.
And the Guy Fawkes mask even kind of became a symbol of protest with what is it?
Anonymous.
Anonymous, and like you see them at like Occupy Wall Street. I mean, it crops up everywhere now because it's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, but even before, I actually looked that up after I watched the Gunpowder show. I was like, why did the Guy Fawkes mask become so prominent? And it's because they used to like burn effigies of people back in the day, like somebody that's like really like unpopular politically or something, like a Guy Fawkes would be with the pro-Catholic people. They would take images of him and around the street and while it's burning. It's like, screw you, dude. We hate you. We're against you.
And I think the entirety of the movie's point to me could be summed up with just like kind of a paraphrase of their lines. I see no reason the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot, combined with people shouldn't fear their government. The government should fear their people. Just because that entire action that took place that spawned the mask of the Guy Fawkes mask that then went on to represent the people's revolution of how that they should not be living in fear of their government because of what he did way back in the 1500s as an example, and then brought forth again by V with his representation of it. They were not only representing V and his actions, like standing behind him, they were also claiming that exact same point from the 1500s. Like, you shouldn't be casting your fear upon us because we far outnumber you.
Right. Yeah. And everyone wearing the same face.
Yep.
Well, look at our numbers.
It's kind of like one of the lines from the subway scene. I'm going to butcher it because I don't remember it exactly. Because V gets stabbed, and that's actually the fatal wound for him. He doesn't die right then, but he does die from it. He says, I am a man, and you can kill me, but you can't kill an idea because ideas are bulletproof.
Yeah, and that's the whole, like, V for Vendetta graphic novel itself. It's listed on, like, if you ever see a top graphic novels of all time list, because I've looked up many of them because I'd like to own them just because they're historically, relevant, and I don't know, they mean a lot to the medium. And V is always on that list, like very high up. I need to read it again.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
So there's this thing that I really get into.
What's that?
And it involves cartoons that don't speak the same language as me, but I get subtitles, so I'm okay because I get what they're saying. But I really like watching anime. I've talked about anime before. I got a little creative bug this week. I didn't take any medicine for it. The only medicine that I can take for it comes from this grape juice. So I'm going to squeeze y'all's...
Squeeze me!
I'm going to squeeze the grape juice tonight, boys.
Sweet.
With the Grapevine's first ever anime. Now, what I've done here is I've taken my favorite style of anime.
But I don't like anime.
That's okay. We've talked about it several times on here. I'm going to reiterate very quickly what this means. The anime that I like the most is an isekai anime. The isekai animes mean that you are in one world and you are transported to another world, whether that be through consciousness or through a life and death ritualistic type thing. It doesn't matter. It could even be like a portal where you cross into a different dimension. But that is an isekai anime. And here we go.
So what is about to happen? Like, what is all of this?
This is the introduction for the anime.
Okay.
The anime is going to be called This Isn't Our World, It's Just Dogs.
Okay. And this is a script you've written?
I've written a script. A
Excellent.
little screenplay for your ear holes.
It's a table read.
It is.
Okay.
I like it.
So everybody's got their own little character layouts and their lines in here, and we're going to give the audience a listen to the world that this isn't our world, it's just dogs. The setting takes place on a postmodern world. The year is 2145. Due to an increase in sickness and a nosedive decrease in the amount of people leaving their homes, a world-altering and best-selling technology known as Virtua Real Connectivity, VRC, becomes a household item. Its activity ranges include athletic sports, hunting, first-person shooters, and massive multiplayer online role-playing games. And they are the sole connection and commonplace for the modern human. Through overpopulation and global expansion leading into the late 2090s, the big game animals and predators have been hunted out or displaced to the point of extinction. The only surviving wildlife of the world are those kept under human control and domestication. The domesticated animals then become revered as the only adventurous life form left besides humans. They've taken on a personified respect for them as creatures. This world event, combined with the desire to escape into a different life that could no longer be discovered outside of one's domicile, brought about the design of the 5-star reviewed and highly recommended MMORPG VRC title, Dog Eat Dog. In Dead, characters would pick their breed of humanoid dog figure and carry out tasks to strengthen their stats. The roles of the breed helped you to excel in classes related to breed-specific qualities. 4 best friends find themselves gathering as a pack one night on Dead to carry out the final mission they worked tirelessly to achieve. With Tiny, the Bull Mastiff, Barcus Maximus, a paladin class, strong and brave, with a bit of a drooling problem. The Electric Mage Chihuahua, Squirmy, controls the very surges of particle charge in the air with his anxiety-riddled powers, derived by his creator, Marcus. Dane, the Shepherd Ranger, Shep. Equipped with keen eyesight and a once-daily boost of super speed that remains unmatched, known as the Zoom. And Austin, the Shih Tzu, Milu, the agile assassin trained for the protection of the royal family. And this is their story.
All right, dogs. I've got eyes on the final Liger Brigade up past the tree line. They're fully armored. Looks to be heavy metal armament along with them.
What's the distance?
100 meters from this location and closing in fast. They'll be on us in no time.
I just did my final upgrade on my lightning class spell. The top damage points will be given when they are 20 meters away. Game mechanics dictate if they get any closer, it can affect us and potentially kill us. Oh.
What do you need?
I'll put the boundary line out there with create object. There, it's ready. Don't let them pass that line. I need 60 seconds.
I'll create a distraction. I'll piss them off with my Mastodon's might. If they can focus enough of their firepower on me, I can hold them all back at once with my mirror defense.
I saved my zoom for this. I'll get behind them so they can't retreat. Moving and firing at that speed, they won't know what hit them.
I've got several blackout bombs. I'll bombard the middle section and disrupt their formations. I'll stay behind Maximus. Squirmy, you got this.
Enchantum Elector Vesar Volterra.
Let's get it on. Mastodon's might.
I'm right behind you, big guy.
I'm fast as boy. Zoom is on.
Almost there. 45 more seconds.
It's working. They're swinging for the fences. Mirror defense.
We've got runners.
No, you're not going anywhere.
Man, being an assassin class in the middle of a mob sucks so bad.
Speak for yourself. They're pushing us back, and we're almost at the distance cutoff.
15 seconds.
I'm over the line. Just a little push from back here, Maximus. I'll give you a boost.
9, 8, 7,
Oh!
6.
They're not going to make it. Zoom is almost out. I'll help push.
No!
As lightning releases from the end of the mage's staff, splitting a gash in the fabric of the environment, Shep finds himself in a race to give the final push and get the horde behind the line. The bolt shifted upward toward the sky, bringing down a shockwave of 10 times its diameter and ferocity. Hitting the horde at the precise moment Shep managed to touch Maximus. He was too late. The enormous jolt of electricity hits all the players and the horde. The 4 players' VRC units simultaneously spark, and the players black out.
Wow, that packed a hit!
I guess it did. It kind of actually hurt.
What are you doing here? I thought we got forcibly logged out or something.
Guys, y'all need to come take a look at this.
The 4 players gaze upon a landscape of mountains, rivers, sky, and sun that looks all more real than they've ever experienced it before. Their bodies are as they remember them in-game. They haven't awoken to their normal lives.
This isn't our world. It's just dogs.
And that's what it's like being on an anime, boys.
Yes, good job, everybody.
That was fun.
We just had ourselves a little fight scene there. It's like we're in the middle of our video game, and we're all taking it very seriously.
And that's actually a common trope within the Ezekiel itself, is to be playing a video game and to somehow be stuck in it or trapped in it. That's happened in some really major ones that I've watched, including Sword Art Online, and there was a couple more, but now my brain blanked. The dating sim one that we just watched that was absolutely stupid.
He says we loosely. I've been in the room.
You were there. You seen it.
I've been in the room.
Gosh, it was so awful.
I took my role very seriously.
Yeah,
just
well,
now.
see, this was a good way of us, like, pitching our voice acting, careers that we could eventually get. So
I just wanted to. I don't know. I just thought it would be funny for us to all be stuck in humanoid dog bodies.
Well, I just love that I'm a nervous chihuahua. I mean, because
I'm sorry. I just thought
but I'm an electric mage too.
Yeah.
So I see. So I get it. I'm aware of my flaws, Austin.
But that's the thing. Like, you could be all twitchy and jerky and everything else like that. But how much you've had
I love it. I love it.
How you?
I love my character.
You had to fail with electricity so much it just spasmed you.
My question is, why was a short barrel dog? I mean, don't get me wrong. I like bull mastiffs; they're cool. But what if I was a dog with a long snoot?
Well,
I have to be short barreled. Also, I don't drool.
Well, just the mastiff does. Remember,
Okay.
you're a mastiff style character.
Okay.
And if you were a mastiff, you would have those jowls that have the drool on them.
Are you saying I got jowls?
No, but you've got a very large, long beard, so it would fit with the shape of the mastiff's head.
Well, I must have been dreaming for the last hour because this episode of Nerd That Through the Grapevine was fantastic. Thank you all for listening on Spotify and iTunes and Castbox and Audible and all the other ones. And if they have a rating system, do it. Please give 5 stars. That would be fantastic. It does a lot for the show. And if you're on iTunes, I know that you can put a little description of why you love us and why you gave us 5 stars. If you hate us, give us 5 stars. You can tell them that too. But just make the stars 5 so everybody sees that and they like it. Also, if you want to wear us on your body at any time or drink liquids through us, you can have a coffee mug or a t-shirt or hoodie or even a fanny pack from the Teespring link within the description. It's pretty reasonably
Yeah, Daddy.
Ooh, see, puppy.
It's pretty reasonably priced merchandise for us. So yeah, do that. That'd be fun.
I'm sorry, you sounded a lot like Kermit the Frog there for half a second.
Kermit the Frog here,
Kermit the
going
Frog.
through the Teespring link. If you would like to go there and buy anything with us on it, that would be great.
I think that was more Malcolm than Kermit.
No.
He's on vacation.
It sounded like
He's still on
Dane
vacation.
imitating Malcolm.
Gosh,
Oh,
where
he's
is
coming
he
back.
at?
I've got a big plan for him.
And if you want to talk about what the hell happened to Malcolm, why don't you jump on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Nerd Grapevine, and we can discuss that, because I've honestly not asked any question because I was just happy he hadn't shown back up. But, that might not be everyone's opinion. But if you would like to be a part of the inner circle of the Grapes and our Patreon members, get on Patreon, donate a little bit at Best Friends period, Tiny Ink period, and you'll get a shiny holographic Nerd It Through the Grapevine sticker. You will get our eternal love and adoration. But, you know, that includes you, Sam and Kinsey, because I always just, I haven't got you a theme song, but you do have a special plate in my heart, kids. But don't tell anybody that you're the same exact age as my wife and I call you kids, because that might cause them to have a little bit of a...
That's the sound a whale makes. Also, you can find us on Discord. Hit us up. We're going to be streaming the Warriors of Virtue next month, probably in the last week of the month. I've not nailed down the day just yet. I have to confer with the other Grapes, but join us on there. We got memes. We got Backyard Bonanzas. We got Malcolm Head Channel. We got Canon. All these fun things that you can look at and talk to us live, uncut, uncensored, and completely circumcised.
Hey, Barkus! Barkus Maximus! You got 10 seconds to tell me what you do when life gives you grapes.
Use Preparation H.
9! Oh, that was really fast.
That was all I needed.
It feels doggone good on my hole.
It's cooling and soothing.
Better than scooting on the grass any day, right, boys?
It's just dogs?
It's just dogs.
It's just